Good morning, lovely people. How are you all doing today? I hope you're all well. I hope you're all a little bit cooler than me. Oh my goodness. So, those of you who are in the UK will know about the weather we've just had. Outside of the UK, some of you know, we've just had another mini heat wave. Oh my goodness. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the whole bank holiday, it was boiling. It was over 30. My flat was getting up towards 40 again. Oh, the inertia. Oh. So, since that last video I did of me having my Greek salad in the shed and looking at my beans, I haven't actually been back to the garden to do any gardening for about I think it's 6 days now. All I've done is come down here each morning to water and to pick tomatoes. Yay! So the thing about that last video, and I was showing you the beans and saying about keeping an eye on things, yesterday, 2 days or so ago, I noticed with my Cocoa Sophie that literally in the space of the 4 days since I filmed and showed you them fat in the pod, they've started to dry. They've gone so quickly. Now, I haven't grown Cocoa Sophie before. That's the climbing version of Coco de Paimpol. One of the reasons I've missed the harvest, all is not lost, is with the Coco de Paimpol, I'm always looking for the first few little specks of it's like a pinky purplish hue on their pods, and when it gets that first little speck, that's telling me, now is the time to harvest. I could harvest them a bit before that if I wanted, but they'll just be a bit smaller. A week or so after those specks first appear, they suddenly become really quite coloured and big streaks, and then they're getting a bit too dry. Anyway, long story short, I was sort of waiting for similar with the Coco Sophie, but it looks like they don't get the flecks and the stripes and the bits of colour in them. So, the ones I've missed, there's quite a few. They're dry and rattling already. Honestly, it's been so hot here. They'll just be for seed saving. But what it does mean is I now need to be thinking about harvesting every day, or at least every couple of days. So that's one of the big jobs to do today. The rest of today, I'm going to be doing quite a lot of little odd jobs here and there, some bits of catching uppy jobs, what have you, because now, well, this is the last garden video I'm making in August. We're right at the end of August now. You might not see it till the 1st or 2nd of September just because of other videos lined up, but anyway, we're about to go into September, and I know from past experience that for pretty much the whole of September and October now, it's all about the harvests. It's going to be full on. It's going to be either little picks every day or bigger picks every 3 or 4 days. But also, of course, what it means is now, for every hour I spend in the garden, I'll probably spend 3 or 4 hours at home processing all my harvests. So I want to tie up a few loose ends today. We'll get to that as we get to it, as we go around the garden. I'm going to harvest another of my lavender plants today. As I mentioned in the lavender harvesting video, I'm going to just do one at a time over the next couple of weeks, so I don't remove all the bees' food in one go and give them a big shock. And I suddenly remembered I'd got some more of my lovely paper bags at home. These are so useful. I actually bought these years ago. Probably 4 or 5 years ago. I bought a big job lot of them. They're very handy because they've got quite a, can you see from there? Let me open one up. Noisy. They're quite a wide gusset bag. They're brilliant for drying things in. So I originally bought a whole load of these because I used to take veggie bags up to work for my nurse colleagues, and these are great because I could fill it with bits and bobs of veggies and put my favourite nurse's name on it, whoever was going to be on shift that day, but also I could write a little recipe on the front. It was dead cute. Anyway, obviously I left that job. I don't give away my veggies now. I give a few away to the local church that makes lunches. But yeah, they're just great for putting things into dry. I can either hang them from the onion drying rack, there's not much space up there at the moment, or just leave them dotted about the shed. So that will be for some more lavender today. The lavender I harvested a few days ago is still sitting in the basket because I didn't have any more bags down here. So that's another little job today. That's going to be spraying little lavender heads everywhere because it has dried almost. Let me reach one to show you. It is dried. I don't want to drop it. Hold on, let me put the bag underneath. But it's dried. Can you get a sense from the sound? It's crispy. Absolutely crispy. That's how hot it's been. And there's no making anything from the stems, because if you want to do something involving the stems as well, you need to do it just when you pick them, when the stems are still supple and still have a bit of green in them. Never mind, there's plenty more to come. So, yes, lots of little jobs to do. The first thing I'm going to do today, though, is I'm going to take my spare Brussels sprouts plants over to Katherine's plot. Remember I showed you her massive brassica tent? It's going to be my little wedding gift to her. She's currently away on honeymoon. Oh, lucky girl. Yeah, she's on honeymoon for the week, so I'm going to actually plant them. I'm not just going to take them over and dump them. I'm going to plant them for her so she doesn't have to think about it, so that when she comes home, boom, she's got a few brassicas in her brassica tunnel. So I think, without further ado, looking at the thermometer in the shed, the thermometer in the shed says 28, which is, what is that in Fahrenheit? That's 80, about 84. It's not that outside, it's more like 25 today. So it's still fairly warm, beautifully bright, but at least I'm hoping I won't be sweating as much today as I have been the last few days when I've been watering. Come on, let's go over to Katherine's plot. Brilliant. This is a slightly different view, isn't it? And I'll show you in a second as well. Do you remember when I came onto Katherine's plot and I was showing you her tent, which I'm next to now? She'd cut back all her sweet peas, she'd both harvested and deadheaded in order to get another flush in time for the wedding. It's a mass of them, it's gorgeous. In fact, let's just never mind the brassicas a second, let me show you the sweet peas. They're so beautiful. Look at them all. Isn't that a gorgeous sight? Oh, glorious. Wow. And do you know what? They work really well. So obviously this is the sweet peas and that's the gigantes flowers. They look absolutely stunning together. Oh, well done, Katherine. So it just shows, doesn't it, how deadheading really works to help you get a second flush. Right, enough of admiring that. Time to get on with getting this little lot. Oh, look, so many lovely colours. Yeah, time to get these little sprouts into this lovely net tunnel. Now you can see there's a lot of green in there. So the way Katherine does her garden, I really like this. For her, it works for her, it's great. I don't know whether I could cope with it or not, but most of the green in the bottom of there, that's self-seeded forget-me-not. So she tends to leave the self-seeded flowers all over the garden and then simply pulls out a handful when she wants to plant something. So this whole garden in the spring is absolutely covered, for example, in the poached eggplants, and then come the forget-me-nots, and you can see now all the lovely nasturtiums. Gorgeous. So I'm going to have to decide how to get in here. I've got 12 plants for her. Yeah, let's just get in and get planting. This seems so peculiar to me. Getting inside the nets, don't fall. So I think probably the easiest thing to do. I'm just checking where she has got where a couple of hers have survived. But I think otherwise, the easiest thing to do is to just get all the kit inside there and get in there. So, I guess at some point as well with this, because there's only hatches on this side, not the other side, that would be my only thing with this design, is that because you can only come in from this way, in order to reach the bits on the far side, I think at some point you'll need to put some planks in there on the soil, so you're not necessarily standing on the soil. So I've brought some little stick markers as well, and a can of water. What fun! Right, come on, let's get in and let's get planting. I just find this hilarious. I don't know why, it's tickled me, but the fact that there's room for you in here as well is brilliant. So I'm just going to, like I would in my own garden, she's got one there. I think, I'm just trying to look at her spacing. So there's going to be enough space for 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's stop it. Yeah, I think it's easiest just to, if I place them on the ground for now, and then we can get planting. Because once they're in, I'll just move backwards until I sort of step outside of the tunnel. Oh, what fun! Wow, the soil's really baked. This last minute heat wave we had, boy oh boy, it was an absolute stinker. But it didn't half make the tomatoes get ripe. Oh, this ground is quite tough. I think this is going to take me quite a while. So rather than have you all just hanging around forever and ever, let me get these all in, and then I can bring you back and show you what's what when they're all done. Now, I did bring a can of water in with me. Just going to give them all a really, really good soak. Actually, just flicking that soil up, there is moisture down there. So yeah, hopefully these will all be absolutely fine and dandy for her. Yeah, that's really tough there. I don't know what she had growing here last year or earlier in the year. I don't know whether this bed was just fallow. If it was fallow, that would probably be why it's feeling a bit tufty, compacty. But I'm sure whichever of these morning rusty, whichever of these survive, I'm sure she'll be delighted to have a few more when she gets home from our honeymoon than she had before she went away. It's just weird being in here. What fun. Right, go and have a cup of tea, you lot. They're all in. Yay. I've got to say, I'm dripping with sweat already. This was much harder work than I was anticipating. Partly, the ground is like rock again. You know, just doing this little bit on Katherine's, I'm not going to complain about my soil anymore. That was really hard work to get the little holes made. But now here's the other thing. So I think this net is fantastic. Obviously there's tons of space in here now for all the brassicas to grow. But, and I was thinking, oh, I'd quite like something like this. But having just spent literally the last 20 minutes in there getting all these sprouts in, I've decided I don't want this sort of thing. because when you're in there doing the work, obviously every time, well, it makes me realise what my habits are as well. Every time I plant something, I then stand up and I have a stretch, so I go in the opposite direction to how I've been working, just to keep my body moving so I don't get sort of all cramped. But of course in here I can't stand up, so sort of finishing one, wanting to, can't have a stretch, hobble along, do the next one, hobble along. So I think if you do go for something like this, just be mindful that if you're in there for 15-20 minutes or more, it may be wise to actually just step out every 5 minutes and have a stretch. Otherwise you're gonna do in your quads and your knees while bending. Anyway, what a great thing. I'm chuffed a bit those are all in. I'll keep an eye on them over the next few days while she's still away. I'll come and give them a water because I don't think we're due any rain. Give them a good watering probably every day for the next few days, and that'll just help their roots sort of find the surroundings as well. Yay! Job number 1, tick. Right, let's get back to my garden and see what needs doing. So as I'm on my way back from Katherine's pot, I thought I'd just quickly stop and talk about these beans that I was mentioning at the beginning. So these are the Coco Sophie, the climbing sort of version of the Coco de Paimpol, and it was literally that bean video I made. I filmed that 5 days ago, and can you hear the rattling? These are bone dry, absolutely bone dry. So fortunately, see along the row, I've got tons of green ones here, loads of green ones. And what I think's happened is these ones that have gone over so quickly, they were my direct sown ones. A lot of the ones along there that are green were the ones I did as backups in pots, because a lot of the direct sown ones got nibbled by the naughty slugs and snails. So they're not going to taste good at this stage, or the texture's not going to be good. So I'm literally saying to myself, this whole section of 3 posts here, that's now for seed saving. Fine. But what I am going to do is be much, much more vigilant about the green ones and picking them. Likewise, just over here in the gigantes, it's a bit too low down to see. But already, look, that is dried beans for seed saving. Crazy. In the space of 5 or 6 days. Absolutely bonkers. So one of my jobs today, a big pick of the fat but still green gigantes, and to look through all the Coco Sophie and find the ones that are perfect example. I'll come and show you. Hang on a tick. I'm going to sacrifice that one for the sake of showing you the stages. Oh, you can hear it, can't you? Hold on, let's put the gigantes in the wheelbarrow. So here we are. Let me just take my glasses off so I can have a look to see what you're seeing. Gosh, it's bright today, isn't it? So I've got plenty at this green stage. Brilliant. This is the stage I want to harvest. This yellow, but look how very, very plump the beans are in there. And this, well, you can see it's absolutely bone dry. That is seed saving. So when I was mentioning with the Coco de Paimpol, when they get to this stage, they start to just speck up with a little bit of pinkish, purplish colour. The Coco Sophie, it looks like they're not going to do that. So I need to grab them at this stage. Let me pop one open and show you. Oh my goodness. Look at these fat jewels. Whoa. Loads in there. Let's get the rest out. So I'm getting them now while they're plump, but they're moist. They're absolutely full of juiciness. Oh, it's a fiddle to get them out, sorry. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So at this stage, they will go straight into the freezer. The ones that are dry, they can stay and stay and stay on the plants. And towards the end of September, I'll start harvesting them for seed for next year. Right, let's go and have a glass of water because it is a hot day. no two ways about it. Blight is an absolutely vile infection, disease, however you want to call it. And I noticed about a week ago, I first started noticing it. I've had a little look around today. It's on every single plot, by the looks of it, on my site, apart from me and my neighbours, my immediate neighbours next door. Yeah, I mean, it's just a horrible infection. It just wipes out the entire crop in days. And it seems particularly cruel that it's come quite soon this year, in a year when there's strawberries, I was going to say, when the tomatoes appear to be taking forever to ripen. What a shame. I know there are folk around who grow things like sun gold and some of the yellow ones, and quite a lot of the F1 hybrids, who were getting ripe ones and getting crops, a good couple of weeks before me. But yeah, it's it's inevitable pretty much every year with outdoor grown tomatoes. We didn't get it last year, amazingly, but that's only because we had drought all year, and they need moisture. Blight needs moisture to develop and thrive. So what I'm going to do today, I'm just going through all of my tomatoes. I'm clipping out most of the remaining foliage now. Two reasons for that. One, so that the fruit that is there hopefully gets way more sun and that helps ripen it. I wonder how much that's true. But mainly it's so that there's less material for the blight to get into. I'll harvest quite a lot today too. Obviously I've got quite a few red ones to harvest. Yay, finally, and I have been harvesting red ones. But where I've got orange ones, I'm probably going to harvest them today too. I'll just snip off the whole little vine of them, take them home, and they can finish ripening at home. Obviously I would prefer to leave them on the vine, on the plants, in the garden. But like I say, I'm literally everywhere I look, I'm surrounded by blight. And I really haven't had a huge harvest yet, so I'm just doing anything and everything I can to hopefully prolong my plants and give the green toms half a chance to ripen. Oh, wish me luck. Such a cruel, nasty disease, isn't it? I have got some natural dieback, but as I'm going through, I'm going to be really careful. If I see a little spot of blight today, I have been looking really carefully. If I see a little spot of blight today, I'll step back from it, I'll finish what I'm doing, and then as my very last job of the day, if I see some blight, I will deal with it right at the end of the day. Whatever I use to deal with it, secateurs, gloves, even my top, all of that will get thoroughly washed before I do anything else in the garden, because it's so easy to spread it, and I don't want to be responsible for spreading it to any of my plants or to, even any of the gardens on my way home. So that'll be my last job of the day. Yes, let's get snipping and harvesting what we can while we can. I've definitely had some really gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous carrots out this year so far. But I've also had carrots going to seed like never before. I've only had this once before in one other year when one carrot went to seed in the middle of the summer. So carrots are biennial, no, how to say it, every 2 years. So in the first year, the foliage, and in the second year, that's when they're supposed to put out their flowers for going to seed. They should not be doing it in their first year. So I'm going to have these out. going to bring you in closer so you can have a look, and we'll see what's happened with the root. It's probably not going to be good to eat now, now that it's put its flower spike out. Never mind. Come and have a closer look. Oh, fun and games with shadows. Hope you can see okay. This one, let's pull and see what's lying beneath. So I can't remember, I think this is one of the early Nant. But never mind, early Nant, it's now a late Nant. Totally over. No good. This one, I think, is... Oh, apparently I forgot that I planted some rainbows. Did I plant rainbows in there? I don't remember. And this one is massive. The not only the flower bit, but the carrot itself. So look at all of this, all these flower stems coming from it. And then, well, there was the carrot underneath. Hang on, I'm just taking my glasses off so I can try and see what you're seeing. But yeah, that was what was beneath. What a shame, what a shame. What I'm pleased about with this one is I'd seen sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so of the flowery bits through the net, and I thought it was another 5 carrots, but it's only 1. Good. So, while I'm here with the cover off, I think... Yes, let's have a couple of the little leeks out. Oh, no, I need a trowel to get to them. I'll do that in a second. But I can have... Oh, these are my little spring onions that I've left for ages and ages. I'll show you, don't worry. So the green of the foliage has all gone over now. And obviously the green of the foliage is lovely. However, it doesn't matter, because they are still going to be beautiful, beautiful little onions in a salad of some description. Should we have... Let's have a couple of carrots out. Oh, that one's gone sideways. That's a Nant. A little chunky monkey stubbly one. That looks like a nice one. What variety are you? So I think... Oh no, I don't think that is autumn king. I think that might be this one called... Oh no, this is Little Finger over here. The thing is, oh, it's the same as happened a couple of years ago. Because I've had to re-sow, that surely is an autumn king. Surely it's too big to be one of those Little Fingers. Right next to it is that one, and that one I think is a Little Finger. And I've disturbed a couple more spring onions while I was at it, so I'll have those away. But yeah, it's all good stuff for the pot, isn't it? Okay, now that those flowery ones are out, I think it's time to get this lot covered back over again before the carrot flies realise what I'm up to. Well, it's another hot and sticky day in the garden. My goodness, I didn't expect it to be quite so muggy today, but there we go. I'm chuffed out. I've got loads of little jobs done. Loads of them. A bit more harvesting. I've just been and picked, oh, can you make that out? Oh, another, let's have a look, bucket full of gigantes and the cocoa Sophie. Now obviously some of these I do, with the gigantes, I will leave half of them on for drying to store as a dried bean. I don't want the cocoa Sophie to dry. So I've actually, there's tons to come. So I think for future reference that's going to be the ideal stage. You can see, oh, I'm filthy, excuse my filthy fingers. You can see how fat they are in the pod, and it's a sort of pale cream. But a few of them I've picked, you can see that it's still more like the greenish, pale green stage. I've accidentally picked one that's much greener. I just think, bearing in mind how quickly that handful went over this weekend. Now I know it was exceptionally hot and it was 6 days ago, but seeing how quickly they dried on the plant, I'm just going to do this kind of pick pretty much, I'd say pretty much every day now, or every couple of days. I think I was mentioning that earlier. But there's, oh, that's about another £5 of beans to add to the collection. Now, just quickly, after the last garden video, I think it was Gabrielle was asking about, you know, in terms of my harvest, how many pounds of this, how many pounds of that, trying to work out, you know, how much is needed to live on for the whole year. So I haven't actually kept accurate records of my harvests for about 5 years now. There was one year I did write everything down, absolutely everything. I haven't done it for ages, partly because I got to the point where I didn't really need to, because it was more the sort of the feeling of the number of plants. So, and also it's as the last couple of years have gone on, obviously moving the beans, instead of having rows in the middle of a bed, moving them right to the sides of the beds and having the arches, so that I can then grow something else in the bed. That's what the cathedral bed came out of. So I don't know exactly. However, this year I decided to keep records again. So ever since, what was the first thing out? I think it was the broad beans, or was it the garlic? I can't remember which came first. But ever since those first harvests, I've been recording absolutely everything. I've been recording things podded weight, because I think generally speaking, if you were going to the shops to buy beans, for example, if you were buying either a tin of beans or dried beans, you're buying them as the beans rather than the beans in the pods. So yes, I'm recording everything. I'm also, while I'm going along, I'm kind of checking to look at commercial prices to see how much are organic onions costing in the shop at the moment, how much are organic tomatoes costing. So not only will I be able to, at the end of the season, be able to tell you exactly how much I've harvested, but I'm also going to be able to tell you how much it would have cost me if I'd bought it all in the shops. Yay! So I think also previously when I did record things, I think I just recorded from May till about October, so the big bulks of harvests. What I didn't include in that original list was all the things I had over winter. So carrots, parsnips, celery, all the different brassicas. So I'll also include those this year. So I won't have that final result, that final tally, until, oh gosh, sorry, I've got muck in my eye and I've got mucky fingers, till about next April. But probably what I'll do as we get towards Christmas, or maybe into the new year, I'll give you a tally so far, because obviously the bulk of what I grow and store comes in. Actually, it'll probably be by the end of November I'll be able to do this with you. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Right, well, I've got a few more. Oh, I'm going to take my hat off. Hair. Ugh, I've been sweating so much. Yeah, I've got a few more smallish jobs to do. I try to, in general, sorry I wobbled you, leave my harvesting always until last, so that it's not sitting around in the baking sun all day. I'll whiz home, get all of these podded, weighed, frozen, and then either tomorrow or the next day I'll come back to the garden with all the pods to put into the compost bin. But before I go, I've got to do a little bit of watering, not a huge amount. I gave the garden a really good watering a couple of days ago. I've been checking, as always, as I go around. So today the watering is just mostly going to be the pots on the deck. Yeah. So a little bit of watering, and then my very last job of the day. Yeah, I've got a little bit of the B word. I've got a plant. So as I was taking all that foliage out, I was looking really carefully the whole time I was doing it. And I've got one plant where I've got 2 marks that are maybe barely a centimetre long, and it's on the stem of the plant. So now the thing is, if you get it on, if you notice it on your leaves, you can delay the worst of it by getting those leaves off, get them away from the plant. But once it's in the stem, you know what, it's systemic. So I'm not, you know, I could leave it a few days. I could think, well, the tomatoes on the plant are fine, give them a chance to ripen it. I'm not going to risk it. So the whole plant is going to come out today. I'll take it right off site. The tomatoes that are on it, I will harvest. I'll leave them in my shed. They'll ripen pretty quickly in the shed. But also I want to keep them separate from the rest of the harvest, because in past years when I've taken tomatoes off blighted plants, sometimes they'll ripen and the blight hasn't actually got into the fruit, and gradually they ripen and you can see that they're fine. But then other times the blight is already in the fruit, it hasn't shown itself yet, but by the time after 3 or 4 days of them ripening, that's why I always do it in the shed rather than at home where all my other things are ripening. You can come back 3 or 4 days later and they're really brown and horrid and the fruit's got the blight in too. So, never mind. You know what? It's inevitable. I look at other plot holders. Oh, I feel so badly for everybody, because I've had, like I said, I've looked around a few plots and they have been utterly wiped out already. Utterly wiped out. So, although I'm gutted to have it, I'm disappointed, I haven't got it anywhere near as badly as everyone else, and there's still a good chance that loads of that fruit will happily ripen on the vines. But I'll keep a close eye on it and do what I need to do by way of taking off green ones and getting them home if it looks like the rest of mine are going to get it. Anyway, so there we go, little catch up today. Lots of good bits and bobs done, which means now my focus for the next 4, 6, 8 weeks, my focus is harvest, harvest, harvest. Oh, love it. And obviously my mind is going to start turning towards all the beds are coming empty. I need to think about how to put them to bed for the winter, let them be fallow for a few months. How are they going to be fed and looked after over the winter? We're right on the cusp, aren't we? But it feels like middle of summer still. Anyway, I'm waffling now. I need to go do that watering, deal with those blighty plants, and actually just sit out and enjoy this gorgeous day for a little while. So I will see you all again really soon, I hope. Yes, I will see you soon, because before we know it, it'll be September. So I'll be giving you a little tour of the garden at the beginning of September. Yay. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. Stay well. Enjoy your harvesting, and don't be too disheartened as and when the bee arrives in your garden. It's gonna happen. Whatever. We just have to make the most of every single tomato we get before then, eh? Cheerio, everybody.